Guys, I wanted to talk to you, a few of you, about good APA references, and what I mean by that is just the way you cite them in your reference page or on your annotated bibliography, for example. Um, there's some really common mistakes that I tend to see with students, so I want to point those out so everyone can get these correct. Because once you learn how to do this the first time for a journal article, it becomes very simple to do. So, first of all, you see I have three journal article references here. And the first one, um, the Anderman article, okay, so these are the authors here, and you can see you do the author last name, then the first initial and middle initial if it's available, sometimes it's not, um, and then the next author. Now, if you have three authors as in here or more, just notice that you're not putting an and between each author, you're only putting the ampersand here between the second to last author and the last author. And the very next thing you need to put in is the year. You do not, for a journal article, you do not need a month, you just need the year. Because this isn't going to change, this journal article is going to stay the same. If a revision comes out, they will print it as a revision. The only time you use like a month is if it's information that's likely to change over the course of time, like on a web page of some sort. So here you don't need to do that. But notice the title, and all these titles you can look. All these titles are very similar in the way they're written. Okay, so motivation and schooling in the middle grades. The first letter of the title is capitalized, but everything else is lowercase. This would be the same way even if on the journal article it had the letters, these letters, for example, capitalized. Just because it has it capitalized on the journal article does not mean that you actually capitalize it when you write it in your reference. And notice here, I wanted to show you this one because there are certain times you do capitalize within this part besides your first letter. And that would be if it would be normally capitalized in a sentence, like African American in this example. So these two are proper nouns, so you would capitalize them. And the same goes for like if you had some sort of acronym, that could be capitalized, and that's fine. But just notice that the only letters here that are capitalized, even if in the full article every word here is capitalized, you don't just put it how it is in the article. Okay. So again, proper nouns, and then you also want to focus on what's after a colon. So self-regulated learning. I also capitalized here, bridging the gap. So there is a capital in the first letter and a capital after the colon. This one isn't as problematic for me. If you accidentally do not capitalize after the colon, I'm not going to count off. Because I've seen it done both ways in actual literature. So I don't think that's a strict of a rule, but this is just kind of the way that I do it. So it's the way that I recommend you do it. Okay, and then so once you have your authors, the year in parentheses here, and then the title, you need to put the name of the journal. So the name of the journal and the volume number. See here, there's volumes of these two, but in this last one, there's a volume and an issue number. So, but you see the names of the journals and the volume number each time are italicized. And make sure the name of the journal, since it's the name of something, it is going to be capitalized. So, review of educational research, you can see these first letters are capitalized, and educational psychologist, etc. And then the volume number is capital or is italicized as well. So again, so authors and then title that's not fully capitalized. Um, then your journal and volume should be, this should be capitalized and these should be italicized. And then the issue number, there's not always going to be an issue number. That's okay. Um, there are in a lot of different journals, but there's not always. So the issue number, though, goes directly after the volume number in parentheses. If you don't have it, leave it out. If you do have it, just make sure it's not italicized. That's another APA rule. I understand these rules seem arbitrary and really confusing and not helpful, but when you're reading journal articles as a scholar and you're trying to find these for yourself, it can be very helpful for these to be organized in such a way. It gives you ideas on, let's do this, this last bit is page number. So it tells you how long this article is. It tells you the journal specifically, but it also gives you information on how long has this journal been around. Okay, so some journals have really high volume numbers and might have higher issue numbers, and you know the journal's been around for a lot longer, or you know this journal, this is when it was published anyway. So this educational psychologist, it's a lot further along now, but it was still pretty decent and had quite a few volumes when this was printed. Because some more reliable journals have been around for a long, long time. Okay, so these actually are really important pieces of information, and being organized in such a way is much easier for scholars to locate the information um, that they want. Okay, and then having them in alphabetical order is much easier in the reference page um, to again locate the article that they're searching for, so they can go find it themselves and use it in their own study if they need to. Um, but I just wanted to point that out because you have uh, several people who make just small errors. So I wanted to let you know that. Oh, also the DOI number. Um, this could be caps or lowercase. I've seen it done both ways in published scholarly research, so I'm not as worried about that. Um, but the DOI number, technically, I think older articles like these two may not have a DOI number, but most of the newer things do. So just keep an eye out for the DOI number, or there might be like a web address for the DOI. It'll have this number inside of a web address, um, but you don't have to put DOI then the web address. If that's the case, you just put the web address. But if it's just the number, you would put DOI and then the number. Okay, so I suggest you make sure that whether there's one or there isn't one, um, and then if there is one, add it, because it's still DOI is a digital object identifier, so it kind of helps some scholars also locate the article as needed. But if you guys have any questions about how to cite these sources, please let me know. I am always available, especially by email, to answer your questions. So I hope this helps you guys for your reference pages. All right, bye.